Hey, good afternoon, everybody. This is Big Bill coming to you live from Model Railroading Live, the number one model railroading channel in the world, if not the universe. As you can see, we have a special broadcast today at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here in the States, as we have a special guest with us that's from England, and it's 8 p.m. over there. But before I start, I need to take care of something right now, because my blind is open and the sun is shining through, and this is what's happening. So let me fix that, okay? In the meantime, just be entertained by Mr. Met. He's behind me. How's that? How's that better? Yeah, I know. I should have did that before. Please excuse me for that. Anyway, welcome to the show. We have a special show today. It's a Saturday show, special time, 3 p.m. Eastern time here for Model Railroading Live. We have a special guest with us today that's from England, and I'll introduce you to her in a minute. But just let me get the homework out of the way. Tonight we have Railroad Empires. They'll be dropping a pre-recorded video at 9 p.m. For you guys to watch, and I encourage you guys to comment on it if you watch it tonight, with some positive or even negative feedback, a thumbs down or whatever, but just give the feedback, because we really want to know how the content is playing out with the pre-recorded, if you like it or don't like it. If you have some ideas, we'd really like, the guys over at Railroad Empire Robert and Andy would really like to hear what you have to say. And I think that's important that you share that, because we're all in this together in the content end of it, and we want to produce and give the best content we can out there. And Johnny's Train Talk Show will be back on December 2nd. All shows on the Model Railroading on 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So always put that in your calendar. Just saying hello, Aaron McKeevy's here. Robert Holloman is here. Dwight Grissman is here. John Banacheka is here. Yeah, I know, not used to the sun being an issue. Jason Volk, hey, what's up? Al Mar's here. Yeah, everybody's here. Jigger Evans Model Railroading, yeah. And that's it. So without further ado, let us go forward. Our special guest tonight is Kathy Millatt. Kathy.
Hi.
How you doing, Kathy? How are you today, or this evening, as you are in England and it is nighttime there?
I'm great, thanks. I'm glad to be here. You will remind me, it's 5 years since last time.
Yes. 5 years. We had you on. The first time we had you on was 5 years ago, and we talked about your New Haven Railroad. And our good friend Robert Holloman and I were talking one day, and he said, why don't you have Kathy Millatt on? She hasn't been on in a while, and she's doing some really, great things out there in the modeling world. So I reached out to you, and here we are. Look at that. My people got in touch with your people, and we made it happen.
Something like that.
Yeah. Robert Holloman is saying,
I wish I had a team of people. It would be lovely to have little minions to help.
I wish we did too. Robert Holloman says, I'm totally a fanboying out here. So...
And I've put the chat up, and I can see quite a few of the people names I recognize, like Digger and Norm, just coming in, and I've only glanced quickly, so I'll probably miss loads of people, but they do my moderation on my live stream, so they're great.
Do they?
Yeah.
Oh, really good. Hello, Digger. Hello, Norman. How are you? Good for you guys that you're the moderators on her channel. That's good. So tell me what Robert says. When we were talking, he says your Halo series, you've gotten away from the railroad end of it and kind of like branched into other areas.
I'm having a year off, really. It's not that I'm permanently away, but there's a load of reasons I'm not doing model railroads. It's all about to change, probably beginning of next year. And I can't really talk about it because it's still not happened yet. No one's signed on the dotted line. But if I do that, I'll be going into a full-time role doing model railroads. So, and I'll still be doing the YouTube, and I'll still be doing everything else and writing the book and everything, but that will be taking a lot of my day job. But they want me to put stuff on the YouTube channel, so it's it will all work.
Right.
But I hit a wall with my own railroad, and sometimes you just have to walk away for a bit to get the vibe back.
Yeah, you got to get your mojo back.
Yeah, and I definitely lost it for a bit. It's been really weird because I went full time as a content creator last June, July. And what does that even mean? What do I do? Well, the first thing I did was write a book for Calmback. Everyone here, I mean, I had 2 on my shelf, but people remember Dave Ferrari's How to Build a Realistic Model Railroad.
Yes.
It was the Bible for scenery. And Calmback have been looking for someone to rewrite it for absolutely ages, I think. It's been in print, I think, since 1984, and it's had loads of editions. It's been refreshed through that time.
Right.
But I spent the first year of being this, freelance creator writing the book, and they sent the advertising email out last week. So it's there, it's coming out. I think it's the 1st of Feb. I got tripped up because it says 1/2, which for me is the 2nd of January, but I believe it's probably the 1st of Feb because, you're American and you do them the other way around. Right. And actually it's up on my email at the moment. So it's still called How to Build Realistic Model Railroad Scenery, and it's got a picture of my layout on the front. And it's basically made me go back to the basics and film a lot of them in better quality than perhaps I'd done previously, and to go through some of those basic techniques again and try new things. I've never used the Woodland Scenic Road system before, so I use that. So that has been brilliant. And so I've actually, over the last year, I've done a lot of model railroading, but it's tended to be in written form, not necessarily in video form.
Now the book that you've done for Calmback is that, like you said, that's going to probably in the States in February.
Yeah.
How did that come about?
I'm a contributing editor to MRVP. So I used to go to the States, or for you guys, come over to the States, probably twice a year for the NMRA meetings when I was a director. And I met David Pop quite regularly at the train show every summer. And he's a lovely guy, really genuinely nice guy. He came over here on holiday, and he and his wife came to see me. He's one of the few people that's seen my layout and in the flesh. And so he came over, and I'd been doing the MRVP Let's Make a Scene video series. So they knew I could do the videoing, and I think they just thought I could probably write coherently. And I was really pleased because Eric, the editor, said it was one of the cleanest, copies he'd had come in, and they were really pleased with the quality of the photos. So I was really pleased about that because it's my first book. Yeah. And I'd probably do things slightly differently now, and perhaps do the formatting on the pictures slightly differently, having had a year's worth of experience at it. But no, it was brilliant. And so the Calmback people have always been really great. I also have articles going into fine scale model and some of my sci-fi stuff as well. So they've always been a great bunch, and I've always gotten really well with all of them. They're just genuinely nice guys. Norman
Rowe wants to know, can you reserve a copy now?
Yeah, it's out for pre-order on Calmback. It will come out on Amazon in the UK, I'm sure. Lance Mindheim put a book out earlier this year on how to plan realistic model railroads, and it's a great read. I bought it, and I just got it on Amazon in the UK. But I have asked my contacts at Calmback to let me know what hobby shops are going to be listing it in the UK, because I know some people prefer to buy from a hobby shop than Amazon because they want to support the local shops. Yes. So I will get a list of those nearer the time. But as it's only out for pre-order last week on Calmback, I think it takes a while to go through the distribution channels for people to put their orders in and to take the hard copies.
Right.
So yeah.
So on your modeling that you said you took a year off, or you took time off from the railroad modeling, have you found that doing dioramas and other specific genre, because I saw the Mandalorian one, I thought that was off the hook. Girl, that was off the hook.
I'm a sci-fi geek. I went around Comic-Con with Jason Schron, and he turned around to me at one point and goes, "Kathy, you're even geekier than me." So coming from Jason Schron, I was a real compliment.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love that kind of stuff. I was brought up in Doctor Who and Blake 7, and Digger and Normal know those because they would have been in the UK. Doctor Who, Tom Baker was my first Doctor, really. I grew up on that. Blake 7, I mean, I look at them now and you can see it's cardboard and foil.
Right.
But I loved it. Space 1999, whatever it was, that was my childhood. And you've got pictures of me preschool reading a Doctor Who book. So I'm that kind of person.
Right.
And I've always done a lot of sci-fi. If I look around the dining room over on the side here, I've got loads and loads of Transformers dioramas and Machine and Krieger. I just didn't really put it on the YouTube channel that much. And I like the variety. So this year I've used doing the sort of more sci-fi side to do some plastic kits, which I haven't done in ages, and to sort of up my plastic kit game. I've just done an explosion, which came out yesterday on YouTube, and it's doing really badly. So please, people, go and watch it. It's like my 9th out of 10 of my.
That's the
videos.
Halo one, right?
It's Halo, yeah. I think everyone who's into Halo's playing Halo because the multiplayer beta came out this week. But that's just a big explosion. I've been wanting to do an explosion for years, but you can't put them on a model railroad. Nobody wants to blow up a model railroad. So it's beautiful. And the Warthog's this big. It's a big model. It's a toy, really.
Yeah, the Addams family, they blow it up.
Yeah, it's great. And I've just done a water splash. Mongoose is like a quad bike. It's a quad bike from Halo. And it's the Master Chief driving through a river. And that was great fun. So I'm going to do, I think my next video after this is Pirates of the Caribbean, because someone asked me to do a beach and I couldn't just do a beach. So it's going to be
of course.
And after that, I'm doing a jungle. So I'm back onto more scenery.
How did you do the explosion? I saw that it looked like it was cotton with LED lights.
It is. It's so simple. I thought it was going to be hard, and it does overheat. So I wouldn't want to have it on all the time. But I just used a strip of that 12-volt LED. It's just dotted LEDs along it in, I guess it's a warm white. I wrapped some plate wrapping material around it, which is this sort of foamy, clearish plastic to diffuse the light. And it gave me something to put the cotton wool on. And then I just used 2 types of cotton wool. One was a bit bitty and it was like in a roll. And then the other ones were really fine, nice, very expensive cotton wool balls to put on your baby's, whatever you put them on. And they came out much finer. And you literally put it on and you just put a ball on. And it looks amazing when you turn the light on, because round the edges of the balls, it's lighter because there's more light getting through. And in the middle, it's dark. And that's it. You just have to paint it then with an airbrush. And Norm was really helpful, actually. He commented on the colours were too light, and I went back and added more red, and it was a great comment because it really did make the difference adding the extra red in. But it looks good off. It looks so much better on.
Yeah,
so I'm in love with it. I just love it.
It looks really great. Who is Human City Junction? He said he wants to know, how was your time judging on the TV show? What was it like being a judge on the TV show?
Well, do you know, the worst thing is you're not actually doing any modeling yourself. You're just watching everyone else model. And then you have to say good and bad things about them. Now, I don't know about you, but when I go around a show, I'm very careful never to say anything detrimental about people's layouts, because someone might hear you. You sometimes look at it and think, oh, I probably wouldn't have done it like that. But there's something good in everything. There's something you can learn in every layout. So I am somebody who would never normally make the negative comments. And there you have to say one good thing and one bad thing, and that you have to look stern. So it's really hard to give feedback that wasn't crushing people, because they want you to be a judge. So they want the sort of witty, sort of
banter.
But they don't.
Yeah. They don't
want a very nice company. They had a number of things they didn't show. Someone had a bit of a breakdown. They didn't put that on. They could have, because it was drama. They were lovely people. I've never met such nice people as that TV production company. So, and obviously all the modelers were great. There was such camaraderie behind the scenes. So one set of people, they didn't really know what they're doing. They're very young. And so the other teams all came over and helped them. They laid the track for them almost. And they did loads of extra stuff to help them so that their railroad would look good when it was on TV at the end of the show. So they were it was brilliant. And they were always borrowing stuff and lending stuff. I mean, the Aberdeen guys who won that first year, they came down with a van worth of tools. I think more like a DIY shop. People were continually borrowing stuff on them. They were just absolutely, genuinely, all of the people were lovely. And that just says so much about model railroading, or model railways, as it would be for them.
Yeah. So, but you had a good time with doing it? Did it give you an insight on how TV productions are done? And
it did. You have to be able to remember what they tell you. They want you to hit on the notes, what you want to talk about.
Right.
So sometimes if it was the end of the day, you would just struggle to put a sentence together. So there were times where it's like, out comes the Pepsi Max. I need my caffeine to get me through the next hour of judging.
Okay.
Generally, it was, it was great. The only trouble was it was my busiest time at work. So my office were brilliant. My boss allowed me to have 8 weeks off across the busiest time of my year because I'm an accountant, and it was across the time we filed the accounts. And I had a great team that really stepped up. And it was just, but all around, it was brilliant. I met some amazing people. Got to know Steve Flint really well. He's a really genuinely nice guy. He has now retired partly, but he was the editor of Railway Modeller, so it's the biggest UK magazine.
Yeah.
And it was a great experience. I just met so many great people, but I learned so many new techniques. There are things about, I'm not a great wiring person, and I've got these little helicons and connectors and just loads and loads of things that I learned. And some of the ideas people have were just so innovative. So it was brilliant. It was just a great experience.
Well, that's good. Robert Holloman says one of my original ideas for my first layout, which was two 4x8 tables. I was going to do a Halo scene on one table and the Battle of Hoth on the other. Unfortunately, that never came to fruition. And
that is actually the advantage of dioramas. They're much
smaller. Yes.
So my Mongoose didn't even take 2 weeks with editing video. So it was done in 2 weeks with video editing, which is a good 2 days. So it just all came together in a day, and I thought it had another day in it. So yeah, that's why I do dioramas for YouTube, because I hate YouTube. Let's put it there. It's a machine you have to feed, and it likes being fed constantly.
Yes.
And that's why I moved to doing smaller stuff, because you can't keep the production up and not go mad trying to hit the deadlines. So the people I know that do weekly ones, I just look at and go, wow. I used to do weekly. I just would never go back to it now. Just never. It's such a grind.
It is. It's very intense, and it's very. It becomes the job.
Yeah.
Like people about they ask me, because my separate video, South Brooklyn, they're like, why don't you do because I don't want to get involved in the minutia of camera work, setup, this, that, everything. I do what's known as guerrilla videotaping. I just take my iPhone, my wife's iPhone, and I videotape it and try to stay close to. I don't want to get caught up in that, So
I wish I wasn't, because every time I look at my phone and pick it up, and YouTube tells me something, it's always like, regular viewers of your channel are not watching this video. Maybe it's not very interesting and you should try a different subject. Thanks, YouTube, for yet again putting the boot in.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that was depressing. So actually, whatever. There's a number of reasons I'd like to go back into employment, having done this for 18 months. One, I'm actually a real extrovert. It may not come across, but I like chatting to people and working on your own all day. I just miss the people. And that's one of the main reasons I'd like to go back into having more people around. I love the modeling. I love actually doing stuff like this and chatting to people. I love so many aspects of it. I miss the people. I miss the inspiration of people talking to you about ideas, because you're not going to shows or anything at the moment.
Right.
I post it on Whip, and I will get feedback, and I post every day what I'm doing if I've done anything. Obviously, video editing days are a bit boring. And you get feedback from people, but they may not see the whole thing. And I just miss having people to talk to, or whatever.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. Norman Rowe says modular railroading is the equivalent of diorama making.
It is. And I started I've started several railroads. I started an ON30 modular one, and I got rid of it merely because I had too much stuff and it was daunting. I'm finding this a lot with my railroading, and perhaps I'll talk about that in a bit. But so I got rid of all my ON30 so that I concentrated back on HO, because I realized at one point I had something in almost every scale, from 1 to 144th all the way up to
really
6. Yeah. And the 6th is sci-fi, but the 144th is probably also sci-fi. But if you do any N scale or smaller, you just end up with too much stuff, and it becomes cluttered. And then I find it just gets me down, having too many random projects. So I got rid of the ON30, and then a while later I started a Welsh slate layout, and it's stuck on the track work. Actually, it's got 3D printed track work, and it's not going very well. So anyway,
MMRO com Eric Hall, welcome, Eric.
yeah.
I got my entire yard mostly laid out. Did not film it. It was nice just to build and not worry about the cameras. Things get built faster too without the camera.
I've started, because I do this all the time now, to not film so much, because I just run out of space in my hard drives. Because you can put 50 gig off a card on, because I'm recording in 4K, 25 frames a second.
Right.
So what I'll do is I will film a bit of it, and then because I normally have 2 angles as well in case I obscure one angle so I can still catch it. And if it's a smallish diorama like the Halo, I might leave them both running and do it mostly on time lapse. But quite often I now just record me doing the start of it or doing one of them, and that's just it. You know, nothing else gets recorded. So actually, when I'm doing a video, I may not record for almost a whole day if I'm doing something really repetitive, and it's such a liberating feeling to not have to be on there.
Do you think, this is a question, when you started out, you know, your aspirations and your goals were different then?
Oh yeah.
And I mean, I know like 5 years ago when we interviewed you, it was your layout and the New Haven, and stuff like that. And
I've still got it.
Oh no, we know, we were going to get there. We're going to get there. But do you think your whole attitude about videotaping and how you want to do it and how you want to approach it now as more on a minimalist attitude towards it, whereas before it was like, okay, let's do a lot, let's get it out there, let's, but now it's like, okay, my time is precious and I want to do something, something else.
Yeah, if I'm honest, the reason I'm not railroading is it's really hot in the summer at my loft.
Right.
And it's really hard to film. So it will get up to 30 degrees centigrade up the loft for most of the summer, because, and I've tried, but short of putting a full loft extension in, which I can't afford, it's as it is. And so it's just not doable for a lot of the year.
Right.
And I worry then about what that's doing to all my mechanisms and my modeling and stuff like that. But anyway, let's not dwell on that, because everything's up there. But the main problem is the angles in a loft are very bad for doing a good quality YouTube video. You have to get loads of lighting in. All the lighting will be almost behind you, or you are putting your cameras and your lights on finished scenery work.
Yes.
It's not a great thing to do. So I find it really hard to do any camera work up there that looks good. So I build in dioramas anyway. So I've always brought them downstairs. And I could spend a lot of time, and I have got lights that are up there. But I think it's just, if you're doing a scene that's somewhere and it's in situ, it's easier just to do it on a workbench. And there's nowhere to model up there. It's all just railway. So I've always brought most of it downstairs if it's a building or anything, and built it downstairs and taken it up and put it on. So this has just become an extension of that. And because I've been trying a lot of different bitty techniques for the book, I've ended up doing a lot of dioramas to do one of the techniques. So I just did a section of road that was about this big, and it was a roadway, and it's, you can go on the wall. It's literally just a bit of roadway in a frame. Right. I tried doing a bit on my layout, but I tried 4 attempts before I did that final road, and I just wasn't happy with any of the methods I was trying. The painting just let me down every time. I just wasn't happy. And where I was painting, it was warping. I had a non-happy month that month on trying to get roads. So because it was quite bitty, because I needed really odd things, the problem with my roads, everything's halfway along. I can't do a start to finish on anything now, because everything is halfway along. And that's not what people want. They want a step to step from the beginning to the end.
Yes.
So I've just ended up moving to dioramas because they're easy. And I was going to do Port de Norwich on YouTube in a series of about 12, but I stalled. I did the back, and I hated what I built it out of. I tried a new product and it didn't work. So I don't like the back, but I'm not redoing it. I don't like the base, not redoing it. And I don't like the track work, not redoing it. So it kind of stalled because I don't like it. And that was the railroad I was going to do on YouTube. So I was thinking I might move it onto my live streams. I've started to do live streams once a month on a Sunday night, UK, this time actually. And as a result, I'm doing Dagobah Swamp because that was almost started, and it's a 1:48 scale swamp diorama with
Right.
Yoda, Luke, and an X-wing. And so that will get done over the next few months. But when I finish that, I might go back to Port de Norwick, or if the new role comes off, then that will take over, and I'll be doing that instead. So.
When you're doing your now that you're doing the dioramas and you're doing set kind of work, like when you do the water and you do other things, do you look at it and say, okay, the impact of this, what I'm doing is going to be really, I hope this really translates well, like when you did that water scene with the building and the cascading waterfall.
Oh yeah, I'd already got that scene from 10 years ago practically.
Right, I know.
It'd be that long to finish it.
And then you were doing another scene of a I think it was a building that was blown out with brick debris.
Oh, Kino, yeah, that's a 1/35. Doug Fiscali did Diorama Blitz. I think it's back on his main website now. So Doug Fiscali kit, beautiful.
Right. So when you do something like that and you look at the big picture as like, okay, this is what I hope to translate, and I hope this works out. Yeah. I have to say that the point I'm trying to make here is that it's the little things. Like when you did the water scene, it was the little things. It wasn't the overall big picture. Like when you did the battle, the scene, I saw the brickwork that you did, and I incorporated that into my layout as a debris scene. And I went and bought 100 HO scale bricks, and I tinted them, and I went and I had bricks in the garage, and I was shaving the brick to get the dust. And my wife was like, "What are you doing? What are you creating?" No, this is going to be cool. Watch this. But it's the little things, the big things. Do you ever see people come to you when you see them in person? They say, that little technique you did worked wonders, and you're saying to yourself, "Wow, it was the overall big thing I was trying to put out there." But you got that. That's great.
I think what I will say, good modeling is layers. You can't just do a building. You have to do layers and layers of detail and then weathering. So a building isn't just a brick wall. It may have a meter on it. It may have a poster on it. It may have cracked mortar. It may have pristine mortar, but it isn't just a wall. Right. So there's so many different bits to it. And all of those techniques just build up over time. And the amount of people that say to me, "Oh, I'd like to know how to do so and so," and I'll probably say, "Oh, I did that with Targrant, my favorite thing at the moment. Just did a video on it." But it is. I will always say to people, add another couple of layers, and but there's a danger. And someone sent me some pictures of their layout and said, "Could you have a look at it? Because I'm just not happy, but I don't know why." I was like, "Okay, And it was over-weathered. Everything was run down and grotty and graffitied. And I said to him, I know it's the 70s, but there would have been new buildings and there would have been smart areas. And actually, maybe you just need to lessen up on the weathering in one or two areas. So the weathering, which is brilliant, stands out on what you are doing."
Right.
And he was really pleased with that. He thought that was great feedback. And he was like, "Yeah, I understand exactly what you mean. And that was what I was looking for." Sometimes it's a fresh set of eyes. So it's not about putting too much detail on, because if you just cover everything,
right, less is more.
Yeah. So I like to do specific areas that are highly detailed and then have greenery in between as like a restful negative space, I think. Some design would call it.
Yeah, well, that's funny you should mention that. But before, Andrew Gaston, he just said, step by step, just like anything in life. Ralph Renzetti wants to know, Kathy, where do you store your dioramas? Do you have a significant other that has the same interest? Are you okay with the dials all over the place?
Don't ask. My lounge floor is just a sea of dioramas at the moment. I've run out of space. And actually, one of my friends came round. She's such a good friend, Kelly. She came round and spent a day with me, helping me organize my house. She's coming back for another couple of days, because I got to the stage where, when it was a hobby, it was just about okay. And then it became a sort of, I work from home full time. And it got too much. But you know how things get too much and you're just like, I'm just going to shut the door. And that was it. So my lounge, I used to keep fit in it. I can't even, I can get in there to sit on my chair and play Halo on the Xbox. And I go in there to pick things up, but I've run out of space. And I bought some bookshelves and they quickly filled up. It doesn't help that my Halo diorama, for example, is this big because it was a big warthog. It's gone on the in front of the fire on the hearth. There's nowhere else in my house I've got a square foot to put it on, really, because it is so big. And that's the problem. I like big dioramas, and they fill your house very quickly. But I'm a bit reluctant to get rid of them.
Oh no, it's hard. It's hard.
It's hard.
It is. George, okay, go ahead.
I was going to say, if I start doing the stuff for next year, it will be for other people, so it will start going out the house, which will be a blessing.
That's good. There you go. George 21 says, I'm really enjoying this show, and I subscribed from England. Thank you, George. Norman Rose says, railroading in the UK is really a winter hobby for many, and due to the layouts often are built in lofts and outside sheds.
Yeah, I've been around a lot of them, obviously in the UK, and it's horrendous if someone invites you in the summer.
Yeah, Adrian Gaston says Kathy would really get spoiled in the US with the big basements and rooms.
I saw that flash up. I'm going to confess something here. It's not just the heat. I've now got to the stage where I haven't done my layout for a while, and on both Port de Norwich and my New Haven, I'm stalled and I don't know where to start back up. So I know on Port de Norwich it's the track work, and because I model all the time and I just don't have any spare time to get it out and do it, because it's not on the schedule, because it's so long to do, it would blow my YouTube channel out the water just trying to get it finished.
Right.
But I go upstairs to the loft and I just look around and go, where do I start?
Yeah.
And it's a bit like Kelly, my friend, coming around to my house. She just came round and sat there and like, right, we'll sort this out and we'll put this away. Because at my flat stock, all your card and things, we eventually found space for that. It was on one of the spare beds. It's now gone somewhere. It's got a home in a cupboard, but we had to clear what was in that cupboard out, so it's now in a box. But, she went through and helped me sort it. In some ways, I think with the lockdown being as it is, and I haven't been to anything, nobody's been to my layout for ages because it's so hot. The last person was probably Charlie from Model Railroad Video Plus. He came and it was like 34 degrees in there when we were trying to record. And we turned the air conditioning off because it made a din, and I really felt for him. But anyway, and everything sticks. Everything heats up and starts to expand. So the train just catches on some of the scene. I've cut it away massively now, so it doesn't do it. But it was catching on some of my foam scenery just because it had risen in the heat. So I think I'm daunted and I don't know where to go. And it comes back to doing this as a job. So when this was a hobby and I wasn't on YouTube, and that's been, I don't know, 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago now, when I started my YouTube channel as a almost full-time hobby job,
right?
Not paying me. Before then, I could have done whatever because nobody saw it. And what drove me was I'd have people around every 6 months. So I would try and get jobs done on my layout, and I'd have a huge to-do list, and I'd go down and I'd tick it all off, and I'd never get a fifth of what I wanted done. But I had huge ambitions and it would all be there. Now, everything I model goes on YouTube, every single thing, because I just don't have time. And when I went full-time, my hobby slot was filled with my job. So everything became a job in some ways. So I would work all day, all night, Saturday, Sunday, or every day. I worked Christmas Day, every single day. I probably had 3 days off in about 18 months. And that was it.
That's grinding it away.
I hit a wall. And that's another reason I'm not doing model railroading. I just hit a wall, an absolute wall on Traveller.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember, Traveller was a big spaceport build.
Right.
And I was doing it for someone else. It was sponsored. They had an FDM 28mm and I printed it in resin at 15mm, and it was a new resin and it warped everywhere. Had a lot of problems with warping. I spent 2 weeks and then threw it all in the bin and started again and printed it all together rather than in pieces, which was supposed to be modular, adaptable. It just didn't work for me.
Right.
And so I was 2 weeks behind on a 4-week build, and it was over ambitious. And I was working till 1 a.m. I have never been so down in my life. And everything went wrong on that product. Every single thing I touched went wrong.
Yeah.
And and so over the summer, deliberately, I've been doing smaller, just completely different stuff. So the Fowler, I want to do the fun fair. I actually didn't like the mechanism that much. I need to work a bit more on the mechanism, get it working on that Fowler one. But I'd like to do a fun fair, big scene eventually, and build it up. So I did that. Video didn't do that well. In fact, every video since Traveller has really done badly for me. Yeah. So I hit a wall, and I feel like YouTube's telling me you're not doing very well all the time. Yeah. So when I had an opportunity to go and do something else, I was like, yes, hallelujah. But I think what I'm trying to say is I hit a wall on everything, and model railroading was due to come back up in that time. It was on my diary every week for the 6 months, and I just couldn't face it because I knew I was stuck on the 3D printed track.
Yeah.
And it was a challenge too far. So, the Warthog has been a really simple diorama. It's just a resin river. I can do those very easily because I've done a few of them, but they're actually quite a simple technique. You literally put down sculptor mold, foam sculptor mold, tile grout, talus, glue it all, weight, put resin on it, put ripples on it, river's done. They're not particularly hard once you've got past having to dam them.
Right, right.
And so that's why I haven't been doing any railroading. It's been in my diary. It's been in the project plan because I have a big project plan. And it's just got put back a week every single week. And in the end, I just took it out because having it constantly over me was just wearing me down.
Yeah. Robert Holloman says, I've run into that exact issue a couple of times on his layout. Yeah. I use the Railroad Empire show to keep me working on the layout. Jaw21 has a question. He wants to know, would you say railroad modeling or diorama building is an expensive hobby?
Dioramas, no. Model railroads, yes. And I'll explain why in a minute.
Okay.
So, dioramas can be anything. It's like, how long is a piece of string? You can get most of your materials for dioramas fairly cheaply or free. You can use white glue. I buy them 5 litres, but you can get craft glue for schools really cheaply. Something like tile grout, okay, I use that. People were complaining, it's £20 for a 10-kilo bag. And I'm like, yeah, but my first 5-kilo bag did an entire layout, so you don't really need a huge amount of it. Or someone was saying, go into the DIY store and buy a broken bag because they'll give it you for dirt. They may even ask you to take it away. But you can go out and sieve ground. If you want to do small leaves, you can go and whiz up dried leaves that have come off a tree. You want to do, nice natural trees, you can probably go and do prunings from a garden or somewhere. So for dioramas, a lot of the products can be quite reasonable if you want to. Now, you can spend a fortune. And it's what goes as the centerpiece of your diorama that you'll spend the money on, whether it's a sci-fi model, a military model, or a railroad. Whatever goes in the center of that diorama, that's where the money will be. But if you were to go and watch Boyle Hobby Times, who's one of my favorite modelers on YouTube at the moment, he does some amazing stuff. He's doing Wild West, and he's basically making out of coffee stirrers, plastic, grid mesh for cross stitch, and bits and bobs out of his kit box.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's not spending a fortune. So if you buy a box of coffee stirrers, go get them from. You can build buildings in O scale.
Absolutely.
You can paint them onto paper. Trolls Kirk did one of the most beautiful layouts I've ever seen in my life. And I went to visit him in Sweden just to see his layout and to see him. And he literally painted cartridge paper and sliced it up and used that for his siding. It doesn't have to be expensive.
Exactly.
But as soon as you want sound loco, you're dropping £200.
You are absolutely correct in that. You are absolutely correct in that. Because I was just the other day, we were talking about this. They came out with a whole new set of boxcars, and they're $42 per US dollars. And I'm like, I'm not paying $42.
I've stopped buying because I'm not modeling trains at the moment, and I'm not earning enough.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm sorry, Rapido. I love your stuff.
I
bought every single one of it in every single combination so far, but I'm just going to have to skip these.
Yeah. Dwight Grissom wants to know, did you go to Telford modeling show last week?
No, I didn't. Telford.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Telford.
No, I just... is that the IPMS one or is that a model railway one? I
I'm
wonder.
not sure he.
Because I went to Telford IPMS a few years ago, and I was quite surprised at the difference between a model railway exhibition and an IPMS show, which is plastic models. Because and I went to Destination Star Trek at the NEC, and again, the thing that surprised me is you go around a model railway show, there is so much to see. There are so many great layouts. There are so many interesting people to talk to. There's so much trade there. Even on a small show, there will be 8 or 9 layouts to go and look at. And you go around dioramas and they don't have the same impact. I think dioramas are great on the internet because people can take quite intimate close-up photos and do really fine-scale modeling. So if you haven't got a lot of space, dioramas are brilliant. But, you know, just a model railway show, you get a little more viewing bang for your buck, I think.
No. Sparky 107 wants to know. He says, "Hey, I liked when you had Mini Kathy in your videos. What started you doing that in the first place in your videos? And are we going to see more of her? And how often?"
Well, I did them because when I started YouTube, they're like, you have to have a little catch and do something quirky. So I did Mini Kathys. And I stopped because they divided people and I got a lot of hate over them. And I mean, somebody just marched up to me a show once and went, "Hate the Mini Kathys, stop doing them." And walked off. I was like, "Hi."
Okay, thank you.
I used to get quite a lot of rude comments about them. I got probably more happy comments, but not many more. It was quite finely balanced. And in the end, I filled that room with junk, so I can't get the stand up there to put the green screen up. So yeah, I've still got the t-shirts, and I did do quite a lot of stock. They also took quite a bit of time, which I felt was detracting from doing modelling. So
that's what it seems to come down to. It seems that when you want to do the passion and you have these ideas to do something such as a Mini Kathy and other things, it kind of draws you away from the hobby of what you really want to do and how you want to do it. You know, how is it?
I resisted going down there. I need to be really good at videoing, and I need to do this, I need to do that, because I was like, modeling is my hobby, not videos.
Yes. Yeah. Are you a Cape Cod baseball fan?
I'm not, but I bought this when I was over there, so it just happened to be the t-shirt I had on today. I went there. I went to visit John Pryke actually, and saw his layout and stuff. So that was brilliant.
Did you happen to catch Cape Cod baseball?
No, I just got the t-shirt.
Just got the t-shirt. Okay, yeah. I'm a big.
But I did go and see the the bridge, and we saw Wales. So that was good.
Okay. No, I'm just a big baseball fan. So when I saw your Cape Cod shirt, I was like.
I had been to one baseball game.
Did you? What game was it, if I might ask? Do you remember?
I think we were in Cleveland at the time.
Cleveland Indians?
Yeah. Playing somebody.
Somebody else. Another baseball team. Another baseball team.
Yeah. I could have remembered like a couple of years ago, but it's like, Okay, so I've learned what the words like bottom of the ninth mean and some of this sort of stuff. But frankly, sport isn't my thing. I'd rather be modeling. But
I hear you.
I went with Mike Brestol, and he's a huge baseball fan. He was brilliant. He explained everything, and he took 3 or 4 Brits with him.
Oh, that must have been interesting.
And I mean, some of them are cricket fans, and I've got to say, nobody seems to hit anything in baseball. Do they hit the ball?
Well, here's the deal, Kathy. In baseball, you get up 10 times.
Yeah.
And out of 10 times, you are successful 3 times.
Yeah.
But you fail 7 times.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, if you or I failed 7 times in our prospective jobs, what do you think would happen to you?
I wouldn't have my job.
That's right. But if you fail 7 times in Major League Baseball, what they do is they give you more money next year.
I don't get it.
I know. Yeah. Figure that out. You know, Robert Holloman says baseball is a snooze fest. It's how you look. I have my Mr. Met bobblehead.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So he's the man.
I've got the cup thing I got from them, you know, as a souvenir.
Oh, good. Yeah. It's not for everybody.
It's actually my second baseball game I've been to. I went to them in the 90s when I was in San Francisco. And I think they were playing someone with socks.
Red Sox.
Yeah.
White Sox.
White
Sox.
It was socks.
Yeah.
Red Sox, White Sox.
Okay.
Yeah, whatever.
But hey,
I don't go to football or cricket games here, so it's not like I'm a big sports fan.
no, of course not. I just saw the T-shirt and I was like, oh wow, that's cool, because I've been up there many a times to Cape Cod.
I've got one that says main crew or something for rowing, and someone said, "Do you crew?" And I was like, "What?" I was like, "Oh, we don't call it that in the UK. I used to row, but yeah, no, not for Maine. But I did row for my first boat in college, but only for one term, and then I thought this is really hard work.
Yeah, we had
every day.
We had Otto Van Track on, the editor of Model Railroad and Craftsman, and in college he crewed.
Yeah, I did it for like a term, so I can say I rowed in the first boat at an Oxford college. I think that's quite a good achievement. The fact we bumped down every single day, so it was like really bad. That was torpids. Just it's like another language. Just whatever.
The consensus on the Q&A seems that they missed a mini Kathy.
That's good to know. I may bring them back at some point. I will talk. I'm actually, if the new job comes off, I might talk to them about putting some miniature people into the landscapes when they're doing the YouTube videos. So I might talk to them about doing that as an angle, because I think it's a really good advertising angle. So I will have a chat with them about that. And I could put the stuff up, but it would be in my lounge now, but I can't get in because all the dioramas are on the floor still.
I know the feeling. I really truly know the feeling. I have to say that kind of malaise that you get into is not you. It's not to be disparaging, but it's not unique in the hobby. When you talk to other modelers and the enthusiasm, I always question. So do you sometimes hit the wall? Do you sometimes feel like you don't want to walk in the room? And they're like, yeah, if you're going to be honest, of course.
And that's where I've pivoted and gone and done a lot of sci-fi, because they're short attention span, small dioramas doing odd things like explosions or massive water splashes. But I realise actually I've strayed too far away from my scenery roots and I miss them, because every new technique takes you a long time to learn. So I went back to Green Stuff World and who'd offered to give me some stuff and got the resin for this product. And then I went to Diorama Precipe, who I've seen other YouTubers use, and he sent me a box this size full of vegetation. So definitely a jungle scene. But I was trying to work out what to do in my jungle scene, because I was going to use a Gundam, and I thought, not sure, because it's the wrong scale. Just let's not go there. But it was the wrong scale, because a lot of what he sent me for jungle in his things are 1:35. So I'm thinking I might do a really tall diorama with a waterfall, so it just looks really tall with a waterfall, and there's a scene in both the first reboot game and in the movie where Lara Croft goes down a river and is about to go over the waterfall, and she jumps and catches the wing of an airplane.
Yes.
So I might have her hanging by one hand off a wing of a then obviously not rusted out, but worn away.
Yeah.
Whatever aluminium does when it corrodes. Corroded away wing of I think it's a Japanese plane in the game. And just have her hanging there at the top, hanging down with all this jungle going up around it. So that's kind of where I am on that one. So, but the Pirates of the Caribbean's already printed with the skeleton pirates coming out of the sea, and a quartermaster with a bit of a map trying to find. She dug loads of holes. It's a she, of course, and she got her back to the sea, and there's a pine tree and palm tree even, and So yeah, so that one's coming after the live stream modeling gets done next week.
One of the Sparky 107 wanted to know, since you're from England, do you know Rod Stewart?
Well, you're from America. Do you know Elvis Presley?
He's dead.
Oh, is he? Are you sure?
Well, he may be a CIA operative. I don't know, but
No,
we're just wondering, because every show, at the end of every show, I make a remark saying, as I sign off, I say, thank you very much, and I do want to send my apologies to Sir Rod Stewart. We don't have any more time for you, Rod. We were going to get you in the next couple of minutes, but unfortunately we can't. So next time, Rod, don't worry. And then I always start off with a fake phone call that he's on the phone yelling at me, and I said, all right, I'll get you on. So Sparky 107 said, hey, Bill, does Kathy know Rod Stewart? Does that mean he's next on the show?
I know the only people I know who've met him about modelling. Steve Flint actually did, doing an article from Railway Modeller, which made me laugh because it went, first time reveal of Rod's stunning layout. And I'm like, I've seen it in Model Railroad a couple of times in the last decade, but hey, It's a beautiful layout and it deserves the attention. But I know people who've bumped into him in the US more than I know people who've bumped into him in the UK.
Have you ever seen him at George Celios's layout, the videotape of him at George Celios? Well, what's good about the video is that when Rod Stewart shows up at George Celios's layout, George Celios has no idea who Rod Stewart is.
That's so cute. To be honest, I'm not sure I'd spot it straight away.
Rod Stewart is like wearing like a pink sweater with a pink shirt, and he's got sunglasses hanging from his thing, and he's got his arm draped around George Celios, and there's like, all the photographers are taking pictures, and you can see George's eyes are like, why are they making a big deal about this guy? What's going on? And you can see that he's not making the connection of like who this guy is,
Oh, bless.
And stuff like that.
I'm a huge fan of how he manages to fit modeling into such a busy life.
He takes it with him when he takes his stuff with him when he goes. It's part of his his contract. John Benechek says, what, those phone calls were fake? One of them was, John. He thought they were real. One of them was.
Digger's made a point. I had a scan done by Model U in the UK. They do 3D printed people, and I had a scan done at Worley one year. And then when I was on, the Great Model Railway Challenge, they did the two presenters and the judges, but they already had my scan, so they used the one I'd already got. So you can actually buy a mini me from them. And I have he made me 3 or 4. So I've got myself in every size as a model. But if you want to buy me, you can actually buy a mini Kathy and paint her up.
Really?
To look like me, if you want to.
Yeah. Our good friend Ralph Franzetti says, hey, me, that's what my modeling is. It's all over the place. If you ever get a chance, you should see Ralph Franzetti's model. He did
I know.
You've seen him. So
I've seen some of them.
Yeah, he did recent one of the Bond find, and what it is, it's a dilapidated Bond, and the top is thrown back, and it's the DeLorean from Back to the Future, and he's got a.
I do watch a lot of adventure movies. The problem with this is I got a specific set of vegetation for jungle, and then I was trying to work out what to do with the jungle. Out of the long list, I've already got on my list of dioramas I'm going to do, because people keep saying, "Could you do this?" And I'm like, "Yep." Put it on the list. The list is massive because I've got so many kits and so much stuff. So, years ago, I bought a tuk-tuk, and every time I got my loft, it's on the side, and I look at it and it's about this sort of size. I think, I must weather that up, put some better canvas on the roof and put it in a Far Eastern diorama. So every time I got the loft, I see another kit and I'm like, oh, I forgot I bought that kit. I must build that and put it on a diorama. So the diorama I built that I'm not going to use because I'm going to try and take the sci-fi out for a bit is on the side. I bought that years ago in the States when I was over for one of these things. And I've subsequently bought a lot of Gundam because I love building them. There's something very satisfying about building their kits because the engineering that Bandai do is just beautiful. It beats anybody else in the world. It is some of the most beautiful kits you'll ever build. And I watched some of the anime over the lockdown. So I got into it for that. So I've got all these kits upstairs, which won't go on YouTube probably without being in scenery or something, but will go on eventually.
Right. Well, it's again, 1,000 kits, but not enough times. Not enough time in the day.
I mean, I've got all the South River Model Works kits to build yet.
I'm a ferocious reader, and my wife bought me a plaque that says a million books, not enough time to read them.
I've stopped reading. I don't get time. I go through phases of watching YouTube. I'm in a kind of just catching up. So actually earlier today, I was trying to explain Magna Rail to my dad, as you do, because Luke Towan has just done a great video with a bike and a car and a bridge. And I said to my dad, if you look back in 2010, one of the first videos on my YouTube channel is the guy who designed Magna Rail before it was Magna Rail.
Right.
And his HO cyclists. And it was at Worley in 2010, I think. So I've got so that was like 21 years ago. And 20 years ago, I was like, I must do these. And like 20 years later, I'm thinking, still haven't done them. So every time I see Luke do something with them, I'm like, Luke should do something with those. But I don't want to just do what Luke's done. So no, I need to leave it a while and come up with something different. So what I was trying to work out, talking about rowing a minute ago, which is why I mentioned it again. I rowed and I was trying to work out if I was to do a boat race, how would I make the boats go along the river and the oars go out? And actually, I was looking at all the way the people move on the boat.
Right.
I was going to work it out with something similar to Magna Rail. Anyway, I was just thinking that would be a really great diorama to have a boat or, you know, something like that.
Sure.
In the background with trains and things. But yeah.
Right.
What you do.
Yeah, no, that's exactly. You know, you sit down, you start doodling, and the next thing you know, you're putting stuff together. You get the styrofoam, and you're like, okay, let me start cutting here, you know, and stuff like that.
Well, I'll probably buy some Magna Rail in the end. Just, I'm not buying it because I'm not going to get to it anytime soon. So
yeah. So, are you still involved in the NMRA?
I haven't done anything for the last 2 years because of lockdown.
Yeah.
And I stepped away from anything. I kind of burnt out the politics.
Yeah.
So I stepped away from everything. I am a member still, but I'm not going to anything because they've only just started back up. And I'm probably not in a rush to go to anything because, how can I put this? I never went to many shows recently anyway. And I can't be bothered when I've spent all week doing modelling to then fill my weekends with it. I'm trying to recover a bit of my work-life balance. So I'm trying not to do modelling at the weekends, which is really hard.
Right.
You know, so at the moment, I'm trying to finish Mass Effect Andromeda before Halo comes out. So I've been doing video games to try and stop me working 24/7.
Right.
So, you know, it's just an aim to try and stop that quite destructive behaviour long term because it's not good.
Right.
So yeah, I think eventually I will start going back.
Yeah. Well,
I'm not out and about enough.
If you get a chance, you should check out. We did an interview with the president, the new guy, Gordy Robinson.
Gordy, I know Gordy well. Yeah.
Yeah, we did. It was pretty interesting and pretty uplifting for me and for the rest of the guys in model railroading to hear him speak because he brought a new, fresh perspective to it. And
he has so much enthusiasm.
Oh, he does. He does.
And that's what I was lacking. So I kind of handed the baton on to people who had that enthusiasm because it needs it.
Yeah, it needs fresh blood, fresh ideas, and that fresh enthusiasm to bring it. You know, to bring people who get like curmudgeonly, you know, like it's all right, I don't want it. But then you bring in, he says, "Hey, come back," because there was some questions that I asked him, and he was like, he was Johnny on the spot. He came back with like, you know, let's do this. You know, we can do this. Rejoin. Get involved. We can do this. And, so,
you know, any organization that large is going to struggle to make everybody happy. But I know Gordy will do his best to, you know, make it as appealing to as wide a range of people as possible.
Right. Ralph Renzetti wants to know, Kathy, with all that you do, when do you find time for video games?
Well, the last 3-4 weekends, really. That's kind of when I've slotted it in. At the moment, because I've got Halo Infinite coming out, I'm actually going to take some time off work to play Halo, but my friends invited me to Dorset for the weekend, and we're going on the Swanage Light and Train show. She lives in Dorset in the winter, so I won't be able to play for 2 days. I'm like, oh no, I can't say no to her because Halo's come out. That's really bad. Okay, so it comes out on the 8th, and I'm going to play it on the 8th, 9th, 10th, and then go away.
Right.
But the weekends, I do play fairly solidly in the Saturday, Sunday. I've got tutorials tomorrow. I do tutorials to some of my patrons, so I've got one tomorrow afternoon. But it's just phases. I go through phases, and once you get into a game, you get quite addicted, and you want to finish it. And then I won't play for 6 months, and then I'll get into another game and get quite addicted, and then
right.
Just the thing. People who don't play games, I tend to play more role-playing or campaign games. I don't do multiplayer shooting rounds. I'm not that interested. And if it gets too hard to kill the baddie, I just turn it down to really easy because I'm not there to spend 5 hours trying to kill the boss. I don't care Just like it's a game I want to be involved in. So I love playing Mass Effect. I've just played all of them. Halo, because the campaigns have a huge sci-fi story, and I've read a lot of the books in Halo. I've watched the movies, the cartoons. There's a load of stuff around Halo, not just the games.
Just
and
right.
So it's a whole universe, and you get sucked into it. Tomb Raider is very much the same. It's very immersive.
So how did you like the series, The Mandolin?
I love The Mandalorian. I have to say, Dave Filoni, I had watched the Clone Wars at the start of lockdown. We bought Disney Plus, watched The Mandalorian because we only got it about that time, and then said, well, let's watch the Clone Wars. And I was blown away. I mean, the half-hour kiddie things, and I didn't watch particularly. I was doing something else on the computer all the time till the end. I was in tears in my last episode, which I did 2 dioramas of. And they, it's very emotive how he gets, and he actually made Anakin Skywalker appear like a human you might want to know.
Yes.
I never got off the movies. He was just creepy. Just in every age, he was creepy.
Yeah.
So I knew it was going to be good when he was on it because he did such a good job with the Clone Wars. So he's got Ahsoka Tano, who is one of my favorite characters. And he's bringing in Sabine Wren, and we still got Ezra Bridger and some other people to come out of that Rebels as well. So I knew it was going to be in good hands. And I was never a big Wars fan. I was always a Trekkie because I prefer TV shows to movies. I prefer the long, slow burn, get to know people, 20 episodes.
My pastor. This is my pastor, everybody. Edwin Perez.
Hiya.
My friend Bill.
Yeah.
And I'm Kathy, whose mum you were praying for.
Yeah. Yes, I will let him know that. He stopped by. Yeah. Impromptu. But anyway, yes, The Mandalorian is the way. It was a very good. Yeah. I love the artwork on it at the end. Yeah. I would watch it till the credits rolled because I love the artwork, the thing, and also the actor who played the Mandalorian was.
It's your pastor, other pastor coming.
This is Pastor Diana Perez. Hello. Kathy.
Hiya.
This is the young lady's mother who we've been praying for in the thing. Her mother hurt her knee. And
she tore her ligaments in a knee on Saturday night.
So we've been praying.
We had the ambulance out in the end.
God bless you. Everything goes well with healing, speedy healing.
Yes.
She's much better. We've got her a knee brace.
She's much better now. She has a knee brace now.
Yeah, so it's really well.
I'm telling you, these evangelicals, man, they just like think they can take over. Oh my goodness. Oof. Yeah. I love them to death though. Yeah. But like I was saying, the Mandalorian, the actor who played him, before they, I know this isn't model railroading and we're really way off course here, but I think it's interesting because the actor who played the Mandalorian, his voice was not the same. It was Timothy Oplin who had the voice of the Mandalorian.
He was the gunslinger in the car in the second, third, however many series were on.
Yes, he was.
He was very good. I liked him.
I liked him.
Yeah.
Anyway.
You're looking forward to the Book of Boba Fett, which comes out
this
Christmas.
I know. Yeah. So we're all big geeks.
I love geekdom. I just love that whole thing. I'm trying not to buy collectibles. And the one thing on my desk is because this is my favorite game, Titanfall 2, my favorite game. So this is the hero from Titanfall 2. And it's loads of mechs. So, I try not to buy too much stuff because it's expensive and it just clutters up your house. And I can do that on my own.
I understand completely.
And now he's going to fall over.
Don't worry. Kathy, I want to thank you very much for being taking time out of your busy schedule to come and be on the show. We can't have 5 years go between shit takes. We have to have you on a lot sooner and a lot often if we can.
I will be talking more about model railroading because I will be back into it next year. So you will get more railroading content and far less Halo and Star Wars.
This is part of the hobby, and we try to encompass everything: military modeling, gaming modeling, everything. It all relates as long as it's modeling, and it gets you out of, and it creates that creative juice, and it lets you.
Crossover. You
Yes,
get so many
exactly.
great techniques from terrain or from because
Yeah,
they do a lot more robust stuff quite
right.
often. But
Ra-
if you want to do military, I learned most of my weathering techniques from military, not from railway. Yeah,
right.
just so many different things.
Ralph Renzetti used to work part time after he retired in a hardware store, in a hobby shop, train hobby shop, and he would get the railroad guys in, and they wanted to do, and he'd direct them to the military stuff, and they'd be like, "Oh no, that's military," But he was like, "You got to go over there because you got to see,
Yeah.
what they're doing," and we that's another show we can do. I've been trying to get
Yeah.
military.
Oh,
Diorama
great.
builders on, and they're like, "Well, what can I offer to the model railroading?" And I'm like, "You
Modeling.
can offer a lot."
We were talking about when we spoke last week about Michael Rinaldi, who does
Yeah.
weathering, oil paint rendering, and he does a live stream a couple of times a week, I think, and he bounces between sci-fi, tanks, trains, and they're all the same technique, exactly the same technique, and he can do them on all of them, and he always looks amazing whatever he's doing it on.
Yeah,
Just
I
so
can
good.
learn from everything.
Yeah,
Robert Holman says, "Yes, Kathy, thank you for being with us today."
it's great to be here.
And
Yeah,
Andrew Gaston, nice to hear Kathy speak. Looking forward to part 3. Thanks again.
yay.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. We had over, I think, some thousands on the 5-year one. We've had over
Oh,
7,000.
Johnny said 7,500, didn't he? Yeah,
Yeah.
over the years. I
So
mean, it's 5 years. It's had a bit of time to build up.
yeah, no, but right after that too, we jumped to the 3,000 mark like in 2 months. It's been one of our favorite archived videos that people go to often and a lot. So thank you again for being on the show. Thank you for again, and we will keep your mom in our thoughts and prayers, and that she
Yeah,
gets
thank
better
you.
quickly.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you have a blessed day today. And thank you again,
Thank
Kathy.
you very much. And thanks to everybody for joining. And I recognize some of the names in chats, but for those of you who I don't know, it was great to meet you.
Yeah, yeah, thank you. So, just so you guys out there in Model Railroading Live know, tonight Railroad Empires will be dropping a video at 9 p.m. And we want you to give us feedback on that. We would love for you to give us feedback on that because we need to know what we're doing and how our content is being produced because these guys are doing a lot of hard work. And you guys out there that do content, creative stuff, know how hard it is to do the editing and the whole 9 yards. So, leave a comment, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, but leave a comment because we're only going to learn through our mistakes and through our endeavors. And Johnny's Train Talk Show will be back again December 2nd, and he will be on at 9 p.m. All shows on the Model Railroading Live show are at 9 p.m. And just on the closing, here in the United States, next Thursday is Thanksgiving. And I just want to wish all of you out there a very blessed Thanksgiving. And remember, the year and a half, almost 2 years, and throughout the world, because we're all over in Australia, you may not have a Thanksgiving Day. They recently had it in Canada, but we should be thankful every day for what we have. We've have lost many family members due to this pandemic and friends through this pandemic, and we should not take that lightly. And we should grab on to who our loved ones are and hold on to them and give them thanks and let them know how important they are in your life and in their life. So this Thanksgiving out here in the U.S., do yourself a favor, put the phone down, shut the TV off. I know the football game, the Detroit Lions are on and whatever, but shut it down. Go in the closet, pull out that dusty box of Monopoly, Shoots and Ladders, whatever, Uno card playing, play cards. All you uncles out there, teach your nephews how to play poker and have conversations with your loved ones. And don't talk about politics. Talk about the things you missed. As you heard Kathy said, she hasn't been able to get out and she wants that interaction. So instead of sitting in front of the TV and you kids out there, instead of playing on the phone, sit down at the dinner table and talk to your aunts and uncles and your cousins and just embrace them and feel them. And I just want to thank you guys for tuning in and being a part of the show because if you're not looking, I'm talking to dead air. And once again, Rod, I'm sorry, buddy. I couldn't get you in. And in the meantime, you guys have a blessed Thanksgiving. May the angels of mercy surround your home and keep you guys safe all over the world that's watching. Okay? So you be well, you be safe, and most of all, you be blessed. And we'll see you guys on the radio.